I'm Steve Shellman with Brian Reinert right here next to me. Each week, Brian's going to do his research on a set of games that we agree on in advance. Brian's going to talk about key issues affecting teams and players.
I ran a PDP, pass defensive power chart.
The intersection of expert-based cap, AI-generated projections coming from the PropJuice AI machine. We got back in the 1% club.
I'm just missing something.
On the AI agrees with you here. I got the Lions winning this game. Betting angles from both the human expert and the AI data-driven perspective.
They ranked number 1 in 4 of the 5.
They scored on every possession. It's rare you have an undefeated week, so I'm hoping we have a lot of people.
I mean, that's ridiculous. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to bet against Mahomes. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to bet against Mahomes. Hey, man versus machine. Sponsored by PropJuice AI worth the squeeze and Skybox Sports Network. Get your dream sports ticker and your live odds boards on Skybox Sports Network. In terms of the AI, I'm going to take the charge.
I mean, don't you think Dable goes home every night, looks at these stat sheets, and goes in the bathroom and just throws up?
The Chiefs? Yes, Brian, the Chiefs. They're plus 600 to win Super Bowl.
Toss them out.
And go! Welcome to From the Cave, Man vs. Machine. Welcome in, everybody, to Week 16 of Man vs. the Machine. We're coming down the home stretch with just a few weeks left, and the playoff picture is still a bit murky in terms of seeding and wild cards. This week will certainly have some effects on that ripple through the league, such as the outcome of this Rams-Seahawks game on Thursday night we're going to talk about at the top of the cast. Brian and I are going to take you through the slate, some of the biggest games this week. We'll use a combination of AI models and Brian's expert capper opinion to make some winning picks. Brian, how you feeling today, man?
I feel pretty good. Coming off a nice week, ready to roll.
Awesome, man. We got some big games on the slate this week. He's going to talk about some key issues affecting teams and players and how that impacts lines and angles. I'll show you what the models are saying about the latest game and player projections. We've chosen some tough games this week to focus on. We're gathered here to talk about them, to give you these insights from both the human expert perspective and the AI data-driven model side. So, From the Cave, Man vs. Machine, sponsored by PropJuice, is a data-driven sports AI picks app that delivers projections for game outcomes and player props right to your mobile phone or your mobile desktop favorite web browser. Squeeze more profits out of your wagers. Get PropJuice AI worth the squeeze at PropJuice.ai. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about our week from last week, man. How'd you do last week? How'd you come out? We had some tough games last week too that we picked, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think we had the 4 toughest games last week to pick. You know, we're not taking the easy route out. I hope people realize that every week we take tough games. You know, we're not like these clowns that are like, yeah, I can pick the 4 easiest games to, pick the winners of 2. But, yeah, I had a fantastic week last week. I mean, the Rams was my best bet of the week. We absolutely crushed it, and I actually went 4 out of 5. I mean, the only game I lost was a 21-point meltdown by the Patriots, which at halftime, looked like a lock. So, yeah, I got to hit the Rams -6, had the Chargers +5 over Kansas City, which now officially we could say have been eliminated from the playoffs. Like I said in Week 1 podcast, fade them.
There we go, man.
I'm only hoping right now, I took it under 8 wins, and it was I think it was 11 or 11.5 was the line, and I took it under 8 wins at a big number, so I'm thinking I might pull that off. They're 6 and 8, and I don't see 2 wins with Gardner Minshew happening. So I think that's probably going to cash. And then I had the Broncos +2.5 over the Packers, which are starting to put a little bit together. I think sometimes they just look spotty. They let teams back into games. But yeah, 3 out of 4. And 2 of them were my best bets. So my private clients made a lot of money last week, which was awesome. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Four tough games last week we picked. I think the 4 toughest, playoff type caliber, teams and games. And then, this week is not easier. We picked probably the 4 toughest games this week too. So, it could go a lot of ways, but I think, I got to spend a lot of time the last 2 weeks, because I was playing poker, and it's, pretty much the most boring thing you can do in your life. So I spent a lot of time researching, guys at the poker table were like, dude, are you paying attention? I'm like, hey, I'm okay. I just got some work to do on this pod to make sure we keep crushing it. So here we go. 4 more games, man. 4 tough games. Let's see.
Just on the Chiefs, I saw people taking the Titans this weekend, man.
I know. And I don't blame him either.
It's only a 3-point spread, man. I bet you're hoping Cam Ward pulls a rabbit out of his, you know what, man, and hands him a loss, man. So
I mean, and I saw they announced Mahomes had 2 tears, the ICL and the MCL, or ACL, and like he might not be back next season. What do they do then? They don't have draft picks. They're in trouble. They're in trouble as an organization.
I saw people proposing Burrow gets traded there.
Hey, I wore Matty Ice jersey today just because they brought Rivers back. You might as well bring back Matty Ice. Let's see Matty Ice in a Chiefs uniform next year.
Hey man, who knows, man? Who knows what's gonna happen in that particular team, man?
Still around?
Sorry, say again.
Montana? Are they guys still around?
Yeah. Bring it. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, man. Brady can come back, man, I guess,
Yeah, but he's in ownership. There was actually an article in the paper here. They're like, it'd be a perfect fit being as he's got, an ownership stake in the Raiders to play quarterback for the Raiders, but I guess they don't allow that. There's some rule I read that I didn't even know existed, so you can't be an owner player.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's got the Fox thing too. I don't know if he's broadcasting the games, if that has an impact or not, but no, interesting.
Yeah.
All right, okay, let's jump into these matchups, man. We got 4 big ones. Let's go ahead and start with this Thursday night game. We got the Rams and the Seahawks. Both teams got a win last week, but both struggled a little bit. I mean, the Rams had Detroit, obviously, so, they usually struggle. Teams usually struggle after playing Detroit, so you talk about, having to replace their kneecaps in reality and get healthy after Detroit beats you up and certainly bruises you. Not to mention Devontae Adams suffered a left hammy pull, and I can't imagine him playing. Although McVay didn't rule him out, saying that we're giving everybody a chance to play, including Adams. Puka had some cramping. He appears to be okay. They ended up handling some business and winning by 7, 41-34. Okay, so then you got the Seahawks on the other side. They couldn't seem to find the end zone. I mean, Myers ended up kicking, 6 field goals to beat the old man Rivers and the Colts. They started the 44-year-old, after he'd been on the couch for 5 years coaching high school football, and he almost won the game. I mean, he took him down in, last couple-minute drive and put points on the board, and then Seattle came down and kicked the field goal. But, I mean, geez, man, took 6 field goals to win that game. And so I don't know where that leaves us for this game. I mean, it was a tough game in the beginning. The first one was tough. I think it was like a 2-point win for the Rams. They were at Rams, which, Rams games really aren't a home game anyway. They're at Seattle. Seattle's played a lot better on the road than they have at home this year. I mean, who knows, man? What's going on with this one? Who you got and why, Brian?
There's one stat that really jumped out to me last week, and that's the Seattle running game. They had 48 yards rushing against an okay Indy run defense. I mean, they're not highly ranked in the NFL. Charbonnet had 31 yards. Walker had 17. 17 carries between them. None of them had a run over 8 yards. That was a telltale sign to me. This is my 4th 5-star play of the year.
Oh,
and
wow!
It is Rams, and I don't need the points. I'm taking the money line. I know this thing went to +1. There's some steam coming in Seattle. I really dug into this game. I love the Rams. If the Rams could only run, if Seattle could only run against Indy for 48 yards, what do you think you're going to do against the Rams defensive line that might be, outside of Houston, maybe one of the top, 3 teams, 3 defenses in the NFL? This is going to be a long day, and I'm thinking Darnold is going to have people in his face the whole freaking game. I love the Rams this week. I'm going to absolutely unload. My clients are going to unload. This is going to surprise some people. I think they blow them out. I'm going to squeeze this line. I'm going to squeeze this line to 6.5 for a pretty good chunk, and I'm going to squeeze this line to 9.5 for a pretty good chunk.
It's like what you say is pretty interesting, man, because the AI tells a similar story on the one hand, and then it kind of backtracks on some things. So let me talk a little bit about the AI, man. It's interesting, man. I'm so glad I was
interested to see what the computer came up with, because I kept trying to squashed my feelings because I got so excited when I looked at the matchup. I looked at the corner matchups. I looked at the receiver matchups. Nakua's in the doghouse. He tried to bring some boys in to do a video, and McVay's like, on a short week, are you out of your mind? You should be focused, So he's not going to want to have a bad game because otherwise McVay's going to say, see, you weren't concentrating. And, I don't think Devontae's playing. That was like the only negative I had to kind of, quell my feelings a little bit, but it's not enough. I think the Rams blow them out.
I mean, they got to keep Stafford upright against the Seattle defense, man. That's my only concern, I guess. AI has the Rams on the money line, a 0.53 for the Rams. So it's a very small, slim chance.
Wow. Only 5-3.
Yeah, the books, they've been going back and forth. I mean, wasn't it like plus 1.5, then it was minus 1.5? So anyway, we've got the Rams are now favored at minus 1.5. But if you look at the money lines, at least when I was looking at them before we started recording, we're about to look at them on Skybox here in a minute. But there was it moved to 1 on Caesars, I believe. It was still at 1.5 on DraftKings and everywhere else, I believe. So we still got a 1 to 1.5 point spread, which we'll look at here in a minute on the Skybox segment. But my scores for the AI, I got one game that shows Seahawks 24, Rams 23. So I got a 1 point win for the Seahawks. Then I've got Rams 34-26. I mean, that's an 8 point game right there, man.
That's right.
I got Rams 34-28. That's a 6 point game. I got Rams 35-26. That's a 9 point game. The consensus is Rams 31-26, a 5 point game's consensus. Only one spread model has the Seahawks winning this game. So looking at the analysis, I'd pretty much take the Rams on the money line, I think, or maybe minus 2.5. Now, all that said, we've been kind of working on this pick model that kind of takes like all the different model outputs that we've been running every week, right? And so when we have discrepancies like this, we're trying to figure out, okay, is there signal from these different models we can play off each other that gives us a better take on, which way we should go. So what's going on is it's basically a model the pick action, and it says that the Seahawks have 58% chance to win this game, which scares me. So it's like opposite of what we just said, right? It's opposite of what we just said. So that's why I think I'm probably going to end up going with Rams on the money line. I don't think I'm going to take a cover, because I got 58% chance that the Seahawks cover the game. Doesn't mean they win it, they cover it. It's only a 1.5 point spread, so we can still get that 1 point. I mean, and again, it's 58%. It's not much more than 50%.
No.
So, whereas, on the other AIs, I've got higher probabilities on those. So, it's a problem when you've got some discrepancy and some disagreement. But at the end of the day, I think the signal is to take the Rams on the money line, and that's basically what you said you were going to do. So I think we agree that that's the best choice.
Yeah,
you're kind of.
What do you think? I'll give you my human perspective of the final score. 35-17, Rams.
Wow. So if you were given your game script that you have in your head, right, you're not taking Jackson Smith and Jigba on overs, right? Because, I mean, I don't want to put it in your head. I'm just trying to think about, like, how are you thinking about how you would bet props here? Are you going to take overs on some of the receivers and on Stafford to have a big game? If you think it's 35-17, you're going to take unders on Seattle? What do you think about the running game versus the passing game in Seattle? You think you're going to take unders on that running game based on what you said and now, what? So you got Charbonnet and you got Walker. So you don't think they have big games? What do you think about Smith and Jigba? And then turn that on its head and think about, if it's a big game for the Rams, who do you think has a big day?
Yeah, I actually think with Devontae not playing, they're going to be able to play a little bit more zone on Nakua. I mean, the guy gets open. We've seen him double teamed, throughout most of the season. He still gets open. So I think he's still going to have a big game. Is he going to have a 181 game like he did against the Lions? No, but he's going to go for 100 yards, I think somewhere around 100 yards. But who I'm really looking for is Ferguson and Parkinson over receiving yards. I think that's going to free up a lot, and I think Kyron Williams is going to have a big game. I mean, I just think he's going to run. If you watch the game,
and he's had a big game lately though. Who they're working Corum in that backfield too, man.
They are, and he's the threat. I mean, they both went for 70 plus last week, against the Lions. And the Lions defense is badass on the defensive line. I mean, so I think Kyron Williams is going to have a really big running game because I think they gotta plan to defend against Corum with what Corum's done the last few weeks. But Seattle really struggled last week, against the run against Indy. I mean, it wasn't a typical what you normally see from a defensive Seattle team. That Indy was able to run the ball like that so easily. So
I mean, they do have Jonathan Taylor, man.
It is. It's true. But they've been stopping backs all year, But I really think this one's going to shock some people. These lines have been crazy. And I think, in just kind of, social media and kind of, some of the people I follow that, I think are pretty good handicappers as well. It's all over the board. And, I've had a couple of guys ask me that follow me. They're like, man, you really like this game, huh? And I go, man, I love it. And then, one of my top private clients is like, I'm looking for something to unload on this week. What do you think? And when I told him it was the Rams, he's like, out of all the games, you think it's the Rams against Seattle in Seattle? I said, man, I love this game. I really do. I love this game. I think they're going to absolutely put it to Seattle in Seattle. And I think it's a gift that the line is this. If this game was at home, I think it's more than a field goal. I think it's like 4.5 or 5.5. Could even be 6.
I think the line's reflective of the Devontae Adams injury, man. So,
yeah, I mean, it's going to have some effect, but he's missed games before, and they still played extremely well. If you go back and look when Devontae was out, he's had this hamstring all year. This is like a new injury or a 1 week type thing. And I don't know. I think Nakua just is Nakua. He's going to get open, but I think he's got a little extra incentive to get open this week because McVay seems like the players love him, but he's no walkover. He's no Pete Carroll. I mean, he'll get in your ass if he feels like he needs to. So, anyway, I like the Rams. I like them a lot. I like them big. I'm going to squeeze the line heavy, and I'm either going to end up with egg all over my face, or people are going to be like, dude, this guy said fade Kansas City in week 1, and he was right.
Okay, man. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little tougher than you make it out to be, but I don't know about taking the Rams minus 6.5, but I think I'll take the Rams money line on this one. Everything points to the Rams on this game, man.
This line, Steve, is still moving.
Real quick, let's remind everybody, you can get your ticket for your man cave or your sports pub at Skybox Sports Network. Just go to Amazon, have one delivered right to your doorstep. Use the discount code PropJuice at checkout. Get 10% off your purchase. It's that easy. 10% off your odds, your news, your scores, all season long. All sports, basketball, football, hockey, you name it, they got it. They're giving it to you. Skybox Sports Network, available on their website or at Amazon. So with that in mind, let's bring up the money lines here for this Rams game. And why don't you walk us through the different prices and options we got on the money line, Brian?
Yeah, I remember last week we were talking about those flip games, with the Patriots-Buffalo game where it was like, the lines kept moving. And then even at game time, there was, a couple or one book, at least DraftKings was minus 1.5, and everyone else was like plus the other way. You know what I mean? And the same thing has happened this week. In looking at the money lines, it looks like you're getting, minus 105 on the Rams up to 110. So it's a tight, really tight margin. The Seattle is like minus 108, up to 115. So it's another super tight margin. So the money line, I thought maybe you'd get a little bit better. I guess, DraftKings says minus 105 is going to be the best bet. But when you look at the point spreads now, you have the same thing. FanDuel's minus 1.5 plus 100, and everyone else is 1 at Caesars, and then 1.5 at DraftKings, and then 1 at MGM. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing we saw last week with the Patriots and the Bills. So it looks like the spread at 1 is 118, 122, 120. On Fanatics. So
can you for our less informed bettors such as myself, Could you walk me through the difference between a -1 and a money line?
Yeah. So at -1, what you're basically looking for is, I mean, the small amount of the edge is like the 000 on roulette, where, you know, the game goes into overtime and ends up in a tie, and then they scoop on both sides with the -1. I mean, to me, it doesn't mean much because the odds of that happen are less than 3%. So if you calculate it in, you know, by my math, it just doesn't mean much. But I like to get, when you have a 1.5 line, I don't want to lay 122 to take 1.5, but I also would like more than -105 if I'm going to take a money line. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to take a money line that's
You'd rather 100,
110,
plus
yeah.
105, plus 110.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you
one...
take a money line on a dog, you should get plus money. I mean, to be honest with you, that's why I like Skybox. You know, I look for where I can get, you know, where I can get the best price. So anyway,
so to clarify, if we had a 30-29 game and you bet the -1, that's a push.
It's a push.
And if you bet the money line, you win.
Right.
And if you bet -1.5, you lose.
Right.
And if you bet Seattle plus 1.5 and the Rams 30, Seattle 29, you win.
You'd win.
So those are the scenarios around the 30-29 game. And what you're saying is that it doesn't even really make sense to analyze those scenarios because 30-29 only happens 3% of the time in terms of 1-point games.
Or an overtime game that ends up 30-30. You know what I mean? Like, it just, you know, we've seen it, I think, only twice, right? Or maybe one time this year. I think twice last year where it ended in a tie. No, maybe there's been two this year. So it's like the odds of that happening are so ridiculously low that I like, one thing is I like to look at the games when I start my handicapping for the week. I like to look at the games pre-injury with the lines that come out without looking at the lines. I like to do my research first without letting the lines, because sometimes those lines sway people, and the books know that. So they come out with this line that's never going to be where it is when they come out with it, but it sways people to take that early action, and then you see the steam come in and it starts moving. Like, people don't realize when the books get to Saturday and Sunday, there's so much money in there that even those big $200, $300, $400, $500,000 bets really are meaningless. I mean, not meaningless, but for the most part, they're meaningless. They don't really make the plus minus for the book, you know, that exposed. You know what I mean? So anyway, I don't think the one's a big deal. I would have liked plus 100 at money line. I mean, it looks like the 105 is going to be the best I'm going to get. Unfortunately, I don't think, because I think the late steam on here is going to be on the Rams, and I think the line you're getting today is going to be the best line.
Okay, I'm going to jump on it when we get off the cast, man. That's for sure. So Rams money line is our pick. That's probably the PropJuice pick of the week, too, on the Skybox ticker. Unfortunately, we only run for a day, though, because the game is on a Thursday. So that leaves the weekend, man. So, okay, let's move on to our second matchup where the Jags and Trevor Lawrence, who's been playing out of his mind lately, take on the Broncos. The Broncos are coming off a huge victory over the Packers, where the offense had a surge. It seemed they put up 34. They hadn't put up that many points in a while. Bo Nix threw for 304 touchdowns. That was pretty offensive, output performance. Probably one of the biggest he's had all year. He spread it around good across his receiving crew. I mean, RJ Harvey's become a staple in that backfield lately. On the other side, they have to face a quality kind of under the radar opponent in the Jacksonville Jaguars, but they're on a 5-game winning streak, Brian. It started with the Chargers. They beat them 35-6. They got Indy a couple weeks ago, 36-19. They sure put a beating on the Jets, and in that stretch beat the Titans and the Cards. But Lawrence is playing good football, especially with the addition of Jacoby Myers, who I know you kind of like, man. He was on your team for a while there with the Raiders, right? He was on the Pats first, right? He moved over to the Raiders. Now he's moved over to Trevor Lawrence, and I think he's changed that offense big time, man. He's increased Lawrence's confidence with his reliability and his low drop rate. Man, he's got one of the lowest drop rates in the league. He's been able to change the routes and the routes for, Brian Thomas, who I think's, benefited from that, from his inclusion in the offense. He had had 4 catches for 66 yards and a touchdown. Thomas did last week, you know? And I think that's just because they've got this other option out there, right? So the Jags don't lose to bad teams, and they often beat good teams. So you're like looking at the record, right? Because you're like, oh, the Patriots just beat bad teams. They lose to good teams. Is this the same case for Jags? I mean, they beat the Niners. And they beat the Texans, man. They lost to the Seahawks. They lost to the Rams. Those are 2 of the cream of the crop teams. We just talked about them, right? And they lost to the Texans the second time. But I don't think the Jags go lightly in this one, Brian. What do you think?
So I think Trevor had a good game. I watched most of that game. I had it on one of my screens because I knew this Denver game was coming up this week. I really wanted to kind of get into it. But, you know, I look at who they did beat. If you look at the last 4 weeks, I mean, they beat Arizona, that is a mass unit. They beat Tennessee, that's terrible. They beat Indiana without Jones.
Well, he played a little bit and then he went out, right?
Yeah, and you know, and then they beat the Jets. So did they beat anyone? I don't think so. I mean,
they beat the Niners.
One of those teams. Yeah,
they beat the Chargers.
Yeah. I mean, they did. Listen, the game against the Chargers, I think, might have been their best game of the year. I mean, much better.
Oh,
Trevor had a ridiculous. I mean, he ran for a touchdown, threw for 5 last time. You know, I think they still struggle with the run. You know, I mean, if Lawrence is your leading rusher for the game, it's not that great of a game. I mean, he rushed for 51 yards. I know he had 1 for 20, but still, Etienne only had like 30-some yards. Etienne catches the ball out of the backfield. I like it. Like, you know, we've often discussed I don't play a lot of props, but Etienne catching the ball and for receiving yards, I mean, it's always like 25, 30, and he goes for like 50, 60, 70, you know, like. But anyway, my pick this week is Denver. And I think Denver's coming around at the right time. I think, you know, Bo Nix is still just inconsistent for me. So I really looked for, like, you know, give me a couple scenarios between these two teams. But Denver's defense is good, very good. And I don't think they're going to get, and their corners are good. And their defensive rush is good. And I don't think, you know, Trevor Lawrence got a lot of time to sit back and he got to get outside and run. I don't think he's going to get to do that this weekend. So anyway, I went with Denver. I also like Denver at home. You know, Jacksonville's going to go out there and it's going to be cold. You know, my daughter lives in Colorado and she sent me some pictures. I mean, was a ton of snow last week. They got some more coming in. So Denver -3 at Jacksonville is going to be my pick. I really was surprised at this line. I thought it would be under a field goal, so I bought it down to 2.5. But I like Denver. Like Denver -3 and really looking forward to seeing what AI is doing.
It's wild because it's like 65, 70 degrees in Denver today, man. It's crazy. It's like, but I do see that they're going to have a big winter kind of coming in. So, but I got a buddy out there who lives just outside of Boulder and Longmont, and I was teasing him because I was like, man, it's 30 degrees here in Virginia and it's 65 in Colorado. Like, how is that possible?
And it was like 17, 18 last week when she sent me those pictures of, like, her backyard was like covered in snow.
It's crazy.
But that's
crazy, man.
Colorado.
It is. Just real quick, I was looking up Etienne because you were talking about that. So I do have him going over his reception yards this game. His line's only 12.5 yards, man. I mean,
it's crazy. Look at we go back and look at every week. It's so low, and he catches the ball a lot out of the back.
Last week he had 73 yards, man.
That's exactly right.
So he's like a McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson. Now the week before though, he's really weird, man, because the week before he had 8. And the week before that he had 13. So he can have a huge game. I think it might depend on the type of, you know, defense that they're playing. So if you're looking at PropJuice this weekend, you might want to take a look at our player versus opponent reception yards because it's got the opposing teams and what they allow. So you can kind of compare, you know, if he had a big game against a team that allows a lot and he had a small game against a team that doesn't allow, and then see where where Denver lines up. Denver defense is stingy. So just take a look at that. But yeah, we got him 64% going over based on our model at this point in time.
What did you say the line was? 12.5?
12.5.
Yeah, I love that.
Missed 2 catches out of the backfield, and he gets 6 yards, right?
He's gone.
Yeah.
You got to remember, he had one that came back for 26 yards on a penalty, too. You know, so, because I had him that week that he ended up with like 19 or something, or 11. No, he had 7 and I had like 13 or 12 and a half or something.
All right, so in terms of the AI, in terms of this game, PropJuice has the Broncos on the money line. They got a 58% chance to win. I thought it might be a little bit bigger, but again, I said Jags have been playing well, right? Spread models show mix of directions, a little disagreement. We got Broncos 26-20. We got a Jaguars 34-23. That's crazy. I mean, that's 11 points the Jaguars win by. We got a 30-29 Jags game, and then we got the opposite way, Broncos 30-29. So we got 2 one-point games going the other way. We got Broncos by 6, Jags by 11. That gives us a consensus of Jags 29, Broncos 27, which goes against the money line prediction. Again, we got disagreement. We knew this week was going to be hard, right? It's a tough game to pick. So given the money line's 58, I would either take, minus 2.5. I'm not going to take a 3. Is the line 3.5 on this game right now?
I got 3.
You got 3? Okay. I got so I probably wouldn't take 3. I'd probably go 2.5 on the Broncos. Given what I'm seeing in the AI, I go 2.5 on the Broncos, or I take a Broncos money line. Or if you think what I've described to you in this disagreement, and you like some of the the models that are showing the Jags, you could take a plus 3.5 on the Jags. But I don't have a 3-point game. I got a 1-point game, or I got like a 6-point game, man. So it's like, it's not even like everything's within 2 or 3. So it's a really tough game. I think the AI goes with a money line Broncos minus 2.5 in terms of the Broncos. I mean, they're coming off a big win. They got Bo Nix. They're at home. You got to have, Trevor Lawrence coming from Central Florida, up to Colorado. If it is colder up there on Sunday, I think he struggles a little bit. So, that's what we got, man.
Yeah, I like this game actually. I like Denver, but I pushed it to 2.5 too. I think it's going to be a field goal game. I didn't like 3. 3.5. I would take Jacksonville, and I may push that line to 7.5 on a couple of other parlays with Jacksonville. I think it's going to be a close game.
I agree. I think I might do a 7.5 too on Jacksonville. Yeah. Just because they've been, it's just possible, right? It's just they've been playing pretty well.
We know. I think the weather's going to have a lot to do with it, because we just saw, that Pittsburgh game the other night. Did you see those guys from Miami? They wanted no part of that cold weather. They were stiff. They were not moving. Whew.
It was cold, man.
It was cold.
I saw they benched Tua now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers, baby. I don't know if that gets you more, but we're going to get to witness it.
In terms of props for this game, one of the good A-rated props, we got a new grading system out of PropJuice. We've been grading our picks. We got a new formula for grading some picks. We're trying to lessen those A grades so that they really are A grades. We got an A+ bet on Lawrence over 1.5 touchdowns, throwing 1.5 touchdown passes this week. So I don't know about that. It's tough, right? It's got a probability of 0.87. He did throw 5 last week, so it's potentially inflated by that outlier. But he's thrown over 2 touchdown passes in his last 4 games, baby. So he's thrown 4 games in a row. So the last time he only threw 1 was against the Chargers in that destruction. I mean, they destroyed him too, man, and he only threw 1 in that game. That was back on the 16th of November. So anyway, all right, so reminder that From the Cave, Man vs. Machine, sponsored by PropJuice AI, a data-driven sports AI pick that delivers projections for game outcomes and player props right to your mobile phone, your favorite web browser. Squeeze more profits out of your wagers. Get PropJuice AI worth the squeeze at PropJuice.ai. The NBA and the NFL is live. We're set to add MLB in January. Get ready for opening day, so head over to PropJuice.ai. Get in on the best AI predictions on the market. On Monday night, we cashed a plus 3,700 parlay, 13 legs on the NBA. That was pretty cool. So come on out to PropJuice.ai and get your big parlays going here, man. Okay, so let's move on to number 3. We got Green Bay and Chicago. Packers taking on the Bears. Bears lost 2 weeks ago to the Packers, but it came down to a last-second play by the Packers defense to seal that victory. for the Pack. And the Bears went and then squashed the Browns last week, 31-3. I think they just got all that angst out of that game. Meanwhile, the Packers lost to the Broncos, who we were just talking about, and more importantly, lost Micah Parsons. So I think this game's different, no? Who you got, Brian?
I'm going Chicago here just because I think Green Bay's got more issues than just Micah Parsons. I think anyone that's followed us all year long, I'm a huge fan of Ben Johnson. Followed him closely because, naturally he was the offensive coordinator for my hometown Lions. But I think he's got Caleb Williams being the quarterback that Caleb Williams, can be, and not just letting, before when they brought him in the league, they're like, here's the ball, roll it out there, go run around, throw the ball like you're still at USC. And that's not the way that he's going to be a successful quarterback in the NFL because the game's just so much faster. I like Chicago here. I think Green Bay is going to struggle with their defense. I think Swift's going to have a big game. I mean, he rushed for 98 against Cleveland's defense. And one thing about Cleveland, they can't score points, but they got a good defense. Anyway, I really like Chicago. I was surprised this line. Didn't this line kind of shock you when it first came out? And it's kind of hovered around there. I was just looking to see if any big moves with some big steam came in, and it's just staying. It's kind of weird because Caesars is now 1.5, if I'm seeing that correctly. So we have a half a point. We have a -1.5. We have a +1.5. And then we have a +1.5 and a +1. So, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with this line, but that I hadn't looked at it since Monday. Yeah, no, Tuesday. No, Monday. And so, but on a money line, there's no positive. It's 104 to 111. So Caesars is -106. DraftKings -110. Fanatics -111. FanDuel -104 and -105, and those are books that have a +1.5. This line's funky.
Yeah, it is.
That's the word I'll use. This line's funky.
I'm just surprised.
Chicago. I like Chicago at home. I like Chicago. If I can get the 102, I'm going to take it. It looks like DraftKings. I'm going to get the 102. So I am going to jump on that.
Yeah, I got the AI has the Bears on this as well, the 0.68 probability. So that's the biggest probability we've had, and it's the dog, right? So given the fact that we got a money line on a dog, that's pretty strong. So we got them covering the 1.5 as well. So our pick model also that I've been talking about, like the pick logic model, when you look at accuracy of our picks over time based on how the patterns and the models and all the predictions come out, that gives them a 63% chance to win the game and a 60% chance to cover. So yeah, all signs point to the Bears in this one. Two models have the Packers winning this game in a close one, 24-23 and 27-25, while all the other ones show the Bears winning from 1 to 4 points. Most within that 1 to 2 point range. So it's a close game, but the consensus score is more or less, 26, 26, 26, 27, somewhere in there. I think the best play, given everything I've talked about from the AI, when you look at all the numbers from an AI perspective, is Bears +1.5. But I think the money line's definitely in play for sure. I really like the Bears team at home. They should have won the first game or tied it or gone into overtime or whatever, right? And
you threw that pick to a wide open guy in the end zone. All you have to do is put a little air underneath that ball. They win the game.
Yeah. So I mean, I got the Bears in this one, man. So
yeah. I like the Bears too. I thought I was surprised the line came out. I thought Green Bay would be favored. And weather dependent, just one thing that really jumped out to me when I looked at this, and I just started looking at this game yesterday after we chose the games we were going to do. Doesn't the over seem low? 46?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess that's weather dependent. Let's see what the weather's going to be like on Sunday. But 46 seems a little bit low to me for this game.
Yeah, I was looking at
that
rushing
offense for
yards
Chicago
here.
is clicking right now. I mean, I think they put up 28, 29, 30 points, somewhere in that range, on a team over. So
we got
go back and take a look at that.
We got Jacobs projected at 69 rushing. So not a huge rushing game for him. We got Swift.
Well, he's been hurt, he's been injured.
Yeah, we got Swift and Monangai at 50 and 40 respectively. I'm sorry, we got Swift. We got Swift at 65, and projected at 65, and his line's 51, and we got Monangai projected at 70, and his line's 40. So, got a big rushing day for the Bears, it looks like. And then let me check that totals real quick, because you were just mentioning how you thought it was low.
46.
Yeah, what do we have on the totals here? Let me change our money line. Here we go. Totals, Bears. Yeah, over 46.5 is what we got. We got a 67% chance to go over 46.5. So that's probably a good bet as well.
What's the over-under while you have it up on Burden receiving?
May not be out yet. You know how some of them come out late, but...
Yeah. He's getting a lot of targets. I think he had 7 or 8 targets last week. And I think he had 6 or 7 targets a week before that. And I've been noticing that they've been they've been focusing on him like the last 2 weeks. So I like the over because his number is usually pretty low, like 30, 40s. So I like Caesars. They give you those. I mean, they kind of screw you on the VIG on some of them, but they give you those choices, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, where you can usually get a really big number. Like, if the line's 28 and you go over 60, you get like, plus 375.
I don't have a Burton yet on a projection. So either odds aren't out yet or we haven't estimated him yet, but nothing on Burton.
Okay.
We got Loveland going over. We got Watson going over. Again, if he's healthy and plays.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't look like that was just going to be a short-term injury. I don't know. I had him the over. I hated that he went out. It was the only thing I had left on a prop. So.
Okay, well let's move on to our fourth matchup, where the Patriots are going to take on the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens walloped the Bengals last week, while Burrow just looked disinterested. Patriots lost a 21-point lead to Josh Allen and Superman and the Bills. Dave Portnoy, I don't know if you saw his video, like in the first half, and they're just like, all right, we're gonna blah, 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 blah. Then he had to take it all back. So they were about to blow out the Bills, and then Superman put on his cape and let the come back, like we've seen so many times before. But the Pats just kind of self-destructed in that one, man. So I don't know. I mean, I'm huge on the Patriots, but Baltimore's really like making a run. They're trying to get in the playoffs. I mean, Lamar's looking better. He hadn't had a great season, but I think he looked a little bit better. It was the Bengals defense though, so I don't know what to make of that. Who you got in this one, Brian?
Premature gloaters always get punished. Dave Portnoy should know that better than anyone. So if I was betting this game against the Patriots in the first half, where they opened up,
you mean like 28-3 Falcons? Is that what you're referencing?
I would love New England, but I think you're right. Baltimore has a real opportunity now with the meltdown of the Chiefs and the injuries on a couple of the other AFC teams. So I actually ended up with Baltimore -3 here. I wasn't a big fan of that line. I pushed it to 2.5. But I think Baltimore has a lot to play for. And New England, I think, I don't want to say coast, because I don't think you're ever going to get a Vrabel team that coasts. But they don't really need this game if you look at the way everything looks as of today. I think Baltimore. I think they can still the game.
They can still get the 1 seed losing this game?
I think so. I was just before we started, I was pulling up, the standings and the playoff, possibilities and what was going on, and I was like, with Buffalo winning, they went to 10-4. New England's 11-3, but they split their games this year. So don't they still end up with? I mean, I don't know. I mean, you have Jacksonville at 10-4. So, and then you have the Broncos at 12-2. So, I I'd have to. I don't want to say. I'd have to go and run exactly the scenarios to the way it looks. But now that I look at that, maybe I am incorrect. I thought when I looked at this on Monday, they didn't need this one to get the number 1 seed, but maybe they do.
They definitely need it for the number 1 seed. I think Denver has it right now. I mean, they're not even.
They are. They're 12-2. I don't know why I thought Denver was 11 wins. Yeah, they're Denver's 12-2. So.
And I think they can. I think they could get the number 2 as of now. But I think they still have to win this game to get the number 2 because they have to win the division. I mean, they gotta win the division.
I don't think Baltimore wants to end their season. I don't think they want to. I think Baltimore's going to play good, and I really like Baltimore at home. I think it's going to be a big advantage for them. I think the run game is kind of what opened everything up for Buffalo. And then if you give the one thing about Lamar is he just hasn't looked comfortable to me this year. He's been, on his back a lot. He's been sacked a lot. The offensive line has not been a normal Harbaugh offensive line. They've really given up a lot of sacks to him. So, I think that's the concentration point of this week. Can they keep New England out of the backfield? And if they do, I think, I think Baltimore's going to be able to throw the ball. I think one really eye-opening thing was, how much passing yards they gave up and how open receivers got for Buffalo to just, kind of pick them apart. I mean, I know it's Josh Allen, but, I just didn't like in the way it started going downhill and then they were arguing with each other. Anyway, I'm going to go Baltimore -3.
So just to clarify, I do think the Pats have to win in order to have a chance of the number 1 seed. I think they can lose and still win the division, but Buffalo would also have to lose. So if the Patriots lose, they're now tied with Buffalo. They're now tied with Buffalo, and they've split. So I think the Patriots have to win out. As far as the AI in this game, the Pats have a 66% chance to upset the Ravens on the road. All the spread models but one show the Pats winning. The Ravens win one of these 24-22, but the rest show the Patriots 29-21, 29-21, and the consensus comes in at Patriots 27, Ravens 22. Also, in terms of the total, we have this at 49, and the market's at 48.5. So our points are like pretty much right on what the market is. Overall, Pats cover is probably your safest bet, +3.5. You could take a Patriots money line, a flyer on the Patriots money line based on the AI in this one, in terms of what we're seeing. What do you think about that, Brian? You're like, no. Baltimore goes in and wins.
Yeah, so we're 2-2 this week. AI and I, like, you got 2 and I got 2. That's we've been kind of together for the last few weeks. Maybe one different or none different. And this week we got 2 different, right?
Well, I think we agree on some. I think there's some difference. I think there's some agreement here. So I think we both think the Rams money line, right? So we think that one. And then we both have Denver, but we also both think that the Jacksonville Jaguars could cover like a 7.5 or 6.5 or something like that. And then we both have the Bears, and then you have Baltimore and I have New England. So I really think we only disagree on one. We might disagree on some point differences here and there, but main disagreement is no. We've got Denver on. We got 58% on the Denver money line.
Yeah, so just one different. All right.
Yeah, one big difference. This one's pretty big difference though.
It's a tough week. This is a really tough week. I thought last week was tough. I think this week might be tougher. I mean, on the 4 games we selected, it definitely is.
Yeah. It's going to be a tough week. All right, so reminder, you can get these data-backed driven model insights all season long. Sign up at PropJuice.ai. Come check out the NBA props tonight. Lock in your bets for the NFL weekend. Squeeze more profits out of every wager at PropJuice.ai. It's been another great week, Brian. You got any closing thoughts, man, on this week, or any last-minute things you want to tell our subscribers?
No, I'm ready, man. I'm ready for the playoffs. I think these, I read something, an article today, someone wrote on ESPN, I forget who it was, but they were like, oh, everyone's going to miss the Chiefs not being in the playoffs. I'm not, because I don't have to watch all these bullshit calls. I'm not at all. I was hoping it happened in week 1, and I'm glad that it happened. So let's see some playoff teams, that are hungry and looking for a Super Bowl title. I think there's going to be a lot of cities that don't get a lot of fanfare and get to enjoy, their teams having a lot of success. I think that's the opposite this year. I think the parity in football is a lot better. So, I hope the one thing they improve in the NFL next year is the caliber of refereeing. I mean, it's, whether people want to say it's rigged or not, I'm not willing to go that far. For the most part, I think there's definitely games that, these guys are making some questionable calls and, ulterior motives on stuff. I mean, some coaching decisions like the Vegas game with the field goal. So I think there's definitely some manipulation. I'll give people that. But I think it's just incompetence. I mean, I just don't think they have guys who... Yeah. So anyway, that's the one thing I hope next year, because it's really sad.
In terms of the playoffs, though, man, I think it could be crazy, man. Now, it's probably not gonna happen, but if it happened, it would be nuts. Patrick Mahomes out. Yeah. Lamar gets beat. Josh Allen gets beat. Drake May goes to the Super Bowl, and you've got the Patriots in the Super Bowl again, and it's everybody's like, oh, you're not gonna miss the Chiefs. What, the Patriots are back in the Super Bowl? I mean, that would be nuts, man. I would love to see Pats Rams, because I'm just a fanboy of Stafford and a Patriots fan, so that's probably my dream Super Bowl matchup.
Well, I think you're gonna see the Rams.
I hope so. I would love to see the Rams and the Patriots, man. That'd be killer. I don't know who I'd cheer for, though. That'd be tough.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, from the cave, Man versus Machine, signing off. We'll see you next week. Remember, like the channel. Come back next week. Win, baby. Just win. See ya.